You're on the road with Tim Ryan. In this place of grit and determination, where the clang of steel once filled the air, lies the heart of a story that echoes through time. Steel is more than just a metal. It's the backbone of a generation, a way of life. For decades, this valley's identity was intertwined with the fiery furnaces, crafting the steel that would build a nation. A proud steel worker in Ohio would watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade with his family and point to the magnificent skyscrapers in the background and tell his children, "I made the steel that holds those buildings up." There was pride in making America such a marvel to the world. Yet, as the world evolved, the once thriving mills now sit silent. This is the story of American steel. We're here at the Industry and Labor Museum in Youngstown, Ohio. It tells a story of steel in Youngstown. And the story of steelmaking in Youngstown is the story of steelmaking in America. My grandfather used to wear a hat like that. We had the largest middle class in the history of the world in places like Youngstown. People would get out of high school, go to work at the steel mills, and they did really, really well, just like my grandfather did. That's where the guys used to work, clean up. The original locker rooms. You know, those jobs back then were really good paying jobs. I mean, he would work 5 days a week. He made a really good salary. He had 5 weeks vacation. He had good health care benefits, and he had time to do, a lot of the other things that are most enjoyable. Time with his family, time with his kids, time with his grandkids. He had a garden. He was an usher at church, and he was able to volunteer in the community. So these jobs not only paid the bills, they also allowed, the workers to participate in their community. And then overnight, it happened. Black Monday, September 19th, 1977, is when U.S. Sheet and Tube closed down their operation here in the Youngstown area. 5,000 steelworkers lost their jobs. Over the next few years, over 50,000 steelworkers lost their jobs. Company housing provided one of the most powerful tools for controlling the behavior of workers. Workers who lived in company-owned housing risked both their jobs and their homes during labor disputes. The companies and the government didn't care. The companies were taking the profits and reinvesting them somewhere else, and the hell with the people of Youngstown, Ohio, or other communities just like this. The old copper weld was closing down, and I had to go to this huge meeting, 2,000 people there, family members, scared, gonna lose their jobs. And there was a guy on the microphone, and he says, "We've got to figure this out." He said, because I run this machine, this steel mill, there's a certain machinery. He said, "I run this machine." He says, with tears in his eyes, lump in his throat, "That's my machine. And we got to make sure we save this company. That's my machine." That is the dignity of work. One of the reasons the steel mills closed down in the late 1970s here in America is because we never reinvested back into them. The technology in some of these steel mills in 1977 was pre-World War I. That is a broken corporate structure. It's a broken governmental structure to not recognize that this is an essential industry to the country. It's the backbone of manufacturing. It's the backbone of the middle class. That's a country without a vision. And so we're here to tell the story of what happened to the steel industry in the United States. And we're going to tell you the story of what's to come. The young people who have stayed are very much love the place and are just trying to do their part with bringing it back in their own small way. So here's an empty warehouse that they converted into a brewery. Tough times don't last, tough cities do. You'd see this in Toledo, you'll see it in Detroit, You'll see it in Gary, Indiana. These towns all look the same, you know, very much forgotten. So the guys would work over here in the steel mill, and they would walk out of the steel mill. There's some great pictures of like thousands of workers walking out with the hard hats on and the lunch pails, and they would come over to this side of the road and they would have a shot and a beer and then, you know, go home for dinner. Maybe 2 shots and 2 beers. Who's counting? We are here in the heart of the Mahoning Valley, on the edge of the Mahoning River. And this whole entire area used to be filled with steel mills, tens of thousands of really good paying jobs. On this side of the river and that side of the river were straight steel towns. Communities like this are still trying to find themselves and try to rebuild. We're at Cleveland Cliffs in Toledo, Ohio, where there's exciting stuff happening with steel again. Feeling ready. Game day. You know, leading the world in clean steel manufacturing here in places like Toledo, Ohio. So we want to let the world know. With clean energy, American workers win. And there's nothing more patriotic than that. Hey guys, how you doing? Good to see you, good to see you, good to see you.
It's the future of American manufacturing.
Super pumped about what we're learning here about low emission steel that's being used in clean energy products across the board, across the economy, and it's happening right here. I'm super pumped that this is happening in Ohio. I'm excited to go into the plant. Got my steel worker gear on. Feeling strong. My 70s dance. Right now in the middle of America, steel workers are building our future, making clean HBI, hot briquetted irons, the final product that Cleveland Cliffs makes here in Toledo, and they ship it to their other facilities, and this is what's central to the steelmaking process, but this has less carbon in it, and therefore when they make the steel, it dramatically reduces the carbon output. So they're meeting their 2030 goals for carbon reduction. Low emissions, clean energy, right here in Toledo, Ohio. Still got it. We're making the investments. It's the Inflation Reduction Act, it's the Bipartisan Infrastructure Bill, it's the CHIPS Act, it's the Buy American provisions, it's the tax credits that's leading to lower emissions and helping the United States manufacturing base dominate the clean energy future. I'm proud to be from the Mahoning Valley. Communities like this who have taken it on the chin are showing a level of resiliency that matches what's happening in the steel industry. As we see the steel industry innovate and grow and reinvest in itself, we have so many communities like Youngstown, Ohio, like Toledo, like Gary, Indiana, these communities that have been hit so hard, they've never given up. And if we reinvest back into these communities, the people in these communities will rally around that investment. As I've traveled this country, there's always a hardcore group of people in all of these towns that are ready for a comeback. And it's important that we recognize that it was the people of these communities that built America, that helped us dominate the industrial age, free the world from fascism. It happened in communities like this. So we have to reinvest into these communities, and we can never give up on them. It's been quite the journey since those days in Youngstown, Ohio, when people were working and the city was booming. Then the Black Monday, when we lost thousands of jobs and thousands of homes. And now here we are in Toledo, Ohio, witnessing the reemergence of American manufacturing. Smarter, cleaner, this is the next step in the journey of American steel.